Let's do it.
Malule, Talofa Lava, Bulavanaka, Harawait, Kia ora, a big welcome and a big hello and a g'day to everyone that is watching here today on Ram It Up. But I hope you guys are well and hope you guys are actually excited and still ready to go, considering we had a really barnstorming weekend of Pasifika Rugby League. Now, joining with me is my co-host and usual is Warriors NRL Fanatics. But before we kick things off, guys, Fanatics, how are you going? How are you going, Fanatics? No worries. There probably a bit of difficulty on
Hello?
technical difficulties on his end there. I'm not sure if Fanatics could hear me. I think he was a bit of, but anyway, we've got a barnstorming program for you guys as well today. We've got some match reviews of Cook Islands, Fiji versus Cook Islands, as well as reviewing New Zealand versus Samoa. And then we have the game day squad review as well of PNG, Cook Islands, Tonga, and Samoa as well. And obviously doing our match day previews and predictions of the games as well this coming weekend. Now, before we start, just quickly as well, we understand that the Aussie squad, the Australian squad, Kangaroos, that is the name of their squad as well. And they've got a very good looking team, to be fair with you. It's definitely going to bring a lot of attention, I think, this game. So cannot wait to see what this game here has in store for everyone. So and saying that will be a good Ashes series, I'm pretty sure. Now we go with the first game here, guys, and I'm not sure if you guys actually got a chance to watch it. I hope you did. It was a very good game there over in Papua New Guinea, and again, the game was between Fiji, Pati, and Cook Islands. Now, this game here, look, it started hot and frantic from the Flying Fijians. Pati, they scored about four. They virtually scored 4 tries all within 20 minutes, and unfortunately, Cook Islands just couldn't really close it from there. Tries to Bula, who scored 4 tries, apologies, Navale and Saukuru, Donahue, Kautoka. It was just a Fijian barnstorming parade, I guess. And it was just what can you say? Pacifica Rugby League, Fijian Rugby League. As we say with the Fijians, when they play rugby league, when they with what wings, Fijian wings, doesn't matter if it's league or union, they're there for days. But again, it was just a very good game there. And again, hats off to Cook Islands despite losing the game. 44 points to 24 it was. Carl Ito, the captain, scored a try. Justin Makirere, Ruben Reddy, as well as Pride Peterson, Ropati. Those guys they scored. And just joining us as well as Fanatics. Just sort of got me there on a bit of an echo there, Fanatics, but glad you're joining us.
Oh, yes. Sorry about that. Hello to all the viewers, and it's great to be back on the channel. Sorry about that. Just a bit of technical issues on my end, but here I am now. So it's good to see everyone here. See, we're gonna you're just about discussing the game from the week, which was the first game of the Pacific Championship, was Fiji and the Cook Islands. So let's get into it. Fiji and Cook Islands. I think, look, just quickly, from my point of view, Fiji, I thought, very, I think very dominant throughout the first half. I think the Cook Islands did quite well to fight back in the game. Obviously, they scored some great tries as well themselves, but I think for me, the biggest standout player was Jareen Buller, who scored 4 tries. So he scored 4 tries and 20 all runs, 173 all running meters, 24 post contact meters, and 9 tackle breaks with 3 line breaks and 12 tackles. So yeah, Jareen Buller was outstanding. And Sunia Taruva as well. Like all the outside backs I thought for Fiji. We're on song and we talked about it last week. We thought that the Fijian outside backs were going to be the pivotal part for Fiji to win this game, and it turned out to be the case. Taruva with 13 all runs, 145 running meters. The 4 pack as well. Like majority of the Fijian pack ran for 100 plus meters. Tuikama Kamika ran for 112 meters. And Tane Milne actually ran for 101 all running meters with 12 all runs for 12 hit ups as well. So I think for me, just looking at it, Fiji, look, I expected Fiji to win, and they won, and they did win well. But Cook Islands, I think didn't disgrace themselves. I thought they put in a really good shift throughout this game, but just the lack of experience really came to the fore here for the Cook Islands, and the experience of Fiji had a lot of with the NRL experience that they had on the show, and of course the Cook Islands had a lot of New South Wales Cup players and Queensland Cup players play for them in this game, so that was my only concern and worry for this Cook Islands team. But look, I think for me, KL Era as well. He scored a nice try, and he had 12 all runs to 106 all running meters. So he was probably for me the standout player for the Cook Islands, and also Paul Olberg as well, who ran for 147 all running meters as well. So yeah, those were my takes from that Fiji Cook Islands game. But Fiji Barty too strong, in the end. And probably for me, well, look, no surprise, no shock that they came over on top, over in Papua New Guinea, played the game there. They beat the Cook Islands, and they were far too strong. But I say the Cook Islands didn't do too badly, but yeah, Fiji just showed their class in the end.
Yep, yeah. As I sort of touched on as well,
Yeah,
Fanatics.
yeah.
Yeah, with the Fijians, their wingers are just superb, and
Mm,
again, it was actually more credit in the second half to Cook Islands as well for not letting the game slip away. It could
yeah,
have easily gone above that 50-point margin. It could have. They could have. The Fijians could have. I think Cook Islands in the second half, in particular, did well to really harness in their strengths, their defense, and everything, sort of picking things up in the forefront there. But no, it was actually really good and a good game and good physical rugby league. And I'll tell you what, I'm a fan favorite of Fiji. I love watching Fiji play league. We all know they're absolute monsters at the game of rugby union, but it's so good to see them participate in league as well. So again, good game and good shout to both teams, despite Fiji winning. It was a good game. Next game here, the main event of the evening. And just quickly before we go into that, Fanatics touched on some New South Wales Cup players and Queensland Cup players in the Cook Islands team. There were also, I believe, 2 players from Toulouse Olympique,
right.
the Toulouse, the French rugby league team, who actually won their division and will be moving on to the Super League, joining um, crosstown rivals Catalan Dragons. So, as a French leaguist purist myself, I'm absolutely excited about that prospect of Toulouse and Catalans meeting each other. And again, shout out to Ruben Rennie and Olberg as well. They're representing Toulouse Olympique over there in Cook Islands. But anyway, I digress. Back to this game here. Fanatics, I'll let you take the floor here. I'm just sort of hearing a bit of feedback on your end. I'm not sure what it is, but when I'm talking, it sounds like someone's tapping a drum or something, just like a little light tap. There we go. That
So,
yeah, the noise is
that's just
gone.
that's
Oh
just my fan. I'll turn it off. I'll mute me when I'm not talking. So yeah,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just my
please do
that's
that,
just my
Fanatics,
fan
because
is a bit,
I
yeah.
yeah I can
Apologies.
hear it in the background just a little bit, Yeah,
Yes.
catching
Yeah.
me
All
off
right. Cool.
guard there. Um,
Apologies.
Sweet. So yeah, we'll get back into it. New Zealand versus Samoa. I'll let you Fanatics take the I'll let you have a go first of this game and what your thoughts were and all that stuff, and then I'll follow through.
I'll just try and talk over it. Yeah. So look, New Zealand Samoa, boy, where to start? This game was a cracking match. Now, look, we just looking at Kieran Foran and Dylan Brown. I think the big thing was how these two would go as a combination. I mentioned it last week that if these two can form a strong partnership, the Kiwis are going to do very well. And it was the Dylan Brown and Four in combination that started very strongly. And a few decent little kicks there. Some of them were quite questionable at times, but they started pretty well. A few try assists. The Kiwis started off this game very well. 12-0, they dominated this start over the Samoans. Now, I think the Samoa side, their attack lacked creativity for me, I thought, at the start. With Jazz Tavanga at hooker. Now, I thought that when Chanel Harris-Tavita came onto the field, I think they looked a lot better when he came on and played a bit of hooker. The thing was that, I just, having Tavanga as a hooker and Harris over Harris-Tavita, I thought was probably the wrong move. You can see throughout the start of this game that it didn't quite work out. So, look, the Kiwis started off strongly. Look at their 4-pack. Tapane was particularly strong. And like I say there, once Harris-Tavita came on, I think Samoa managed to find a bit of a spark in their attack. And Samoa, they fought back well to get it to 12 all. Now tries to Dean Mariner and Semi Sasagi back to back, and it was they got them a bit of a spark started to kick into gear. The crowd was obviously majority of Samoan support, so they were on a high once they scored those tries. They were actually on a high throughout the game as well. You can see how much joy and fun they were having in the stands. But 12 all there. I think for me, the most crucial moment came before halftime, because I think Samoa, for their sake, they would have been happy to go in at halftime at 12 all. Now, the Matthew Timoko try before the break was, from a Kiwis point of view, I was happy with it. But if you're a Samoan, you'd be quite disappointed because, after it was off an error, right? Samoa made an error there. It just gives the field position to the Kiwis. The Kiwis had a lot of the field position at the start, pretty much dominated field position, and giving them the more ball down there after just scoring back-to-back tries. It's not great, it's not ideal, but for them to get back in this game, it was quite a big moment for me, because it's just, if you were Ben Gardner, the Toa Samoa coach, you'd be quite gutted about that one there. But then if you're a Kiwis, of course, Stacey Jones, you'd be pretty happy that the Kiwis were able to get that try before the break, because you can see that, for me, I felt like the momentum was swinging towards Samoa before halftime, despite the Kiwis' dominance with the ball. So at 16-12 at halftime, I felt like, from a Kiwis point of view, very happy with the first half, and be able to respond to those two Samoan tries. And then from a Samoan point of view, you're thinking to yourself, look, we're still in this game. They're right in this game, no doubt about it, 16-12. But, they're a little bit gutted themselves. But what did you think of it, Ram It Up? What did you think of that, just like the first half as a whole, and how that back end of that half went? Because Kiwis dominated, of course, but, Samoa fought themselves back in it. But what did you think of that try before the break, which, sort of shifted the momentum back into the Kiwis' favour at the break? What did you think?
Yeah, look, so for myself, I thought the game overall was quite physical. You touched on it, but going on that kick before I review the whole thing. Look, that kick and that try, definitely, I think, rocked everything there for Toa Samoa. Obviously, they were doing everything they could to just keep it at a tie, at the break as close as possible. That is, sorry, and obviously, it just wasn't the case. New Zealand scoring that try, as you touched on there, Fanatics. But I think overall the game, before I sort of touch on it, just the crowd, the atmosphere was quite awesome. It was very much a blue sea, if you will. Granted, on a Sunday, so not the best. If I'm being serious, not the best promotion date. To be fair with you, it shouldn't be on a
No.
Sunday. All these
Yeah.
Pacifica games, any Pacifica game featuring Tonga, Samoa, or Fiji, need to be done on a Saturday or a Friday. As Fanatics as well, he's a big proponent. He's already said Fridays or Saturdays, as he knows. Pacifica people, they believe they churchgoers, etc. So
Yeah.
that's the reason why. But anyway, to the game, big
Mm.
sea of blue there. And it was just a very good. They started with the anthems, and then obviously the haka and the sivatau. It was
Yep.
ballistic. It was crazy. Granted, I wasn't a fan of the Samoans booing the haka. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that.
Mm.
I say this as someone who's a Tongan fan, Kiwi
Yep.
fan as well, Tongan fan who watches the haka. I give the haka respect that is due, especially
True.
being on New Zealand, on you're on Maori land, so to speak. You're on New Zealand land, turf. So when they do their haka, you don't boo. You don't. And I heard that, and I was actually quite appalled. And I know even Samoans made the same comment. So so the Samoans who booed, it doesn't represent the whole of Samoa, but nonetheless, no booing because Tongans didn't boo the haka. So I just thought that was a bit of a downer on that game. Was booing the haka. Should never ever boo the haka. Especially in New Zealand, like should never do
Yeah.
it. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I
So
just.
you want to chime in for next?
Yeah, I just want to give my over thoughts on that. Yeah, I heard. I really did. I did hear about that actually. I actually didn't catch the pre-match. I missed a bit of the pre-match, but as I was going to turn it on, and then like I heard about it, and yeah, it's quite disappointing. And I know some people will say, "Oh, look, it's just a bit of banter." We're just throwing it at the Kiwis, and I know it's like a New Zealand Samoa, and then you've got to. I don't necessarily agree with it, but. I feel like it's probably a lack of. I think it's a lack of respect in my personal opinion. Yeah, and I do echo your similar words there about yeah, it's not great. And Tongans Tonga plays Samoa. They this week I'm sure you won't hear Tongans be booing the Samoans. You know haka. They won't be doing it. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's probably great. It's not good to do, but as a fan, I respect all cultures. Whether it be Samoa, Tonga, Fiji, I respect any culture. So it doesn't really matter if I'm Kiwi, I'm not going to be booing, the Samoan or the Tongan or the Fijian. I'm not doing that sort of stuff. So yeah, but look, I think the game, like you say, we discussed on that, but yeah, the Samoans. So we'll talk about the second half. Like the second half, I felt like the I feel like the Samoans were on top in the second half. I don't know whether you agree on this one on me on this one, but I felt like the Samoans had probably for me felt like the better team to start the second half and throughout the second half, and it was sort of the Kiwis are sort of making a few mistakes there and then and inviting the Samoans into field position and opportunities. And yeah, look, I felt like throughout that second half, it was more of a grind. We didn't see any points throughout the whole second half, or majority of the second half, and then of course the Kiwis had a penalty and they went for a shot at penalty goal and make it 18-12. So what did you make from? Did you feel like the Samoans were a lot better in the second half of the game, and do you feel like they were coming over the top of the Kiwis at that point in time? Because that's what it felt for me, like throughout the second half. I was a little bit, as a Kiwis fan, I was like, ooh, I was a bit worried, that this Samoan team were coming on strongly. So yeah, what did you think?
Yeah, look, I thought so for myself, particularly in the second half, that is. I really thought that Toa Samoa, yeah, you touched on it, Fanatics, they definitely come in strong. I thought that they were actually, they looked like they were actually sort of gaining momentum, particularly in their forwards. Again, they're big boys, big boppers. Payne Haas as well had himself a brilliant Arvo in Auckland. And I just thought they sort of found a way to sort of hang on. I'll tell you what though, and I know you politely glossed over it without even mentioning it. But obviously, you know, Chance Nicole Klukstad had himself an absolute shocker, um, and is probably partly the reason why I think the game, particularly in the first half, was probably as close as it was. Unfortunately, I'm not blaming him per se, but he definitely held a big responsibility, particularly in the first half. And looking saying that apparently you can't criticize players anymore because if you do, you're not a fan or whatever. So whatever, so be it.
Yeah.
I don't really care.
Yeah.
But yeah. Sorry, did you want to say something next?
Yeah, I just want to touch on that because I've been personally, I was attacked on Twitter for putting out opinions saying that Chance Klukstad, I shouldn't be a fullback this year, and some people said, someone said on Twitter that, oh man, you're hating on a player, you always attack our players, and I don't think people actually, read my post, and I don't really attack the players personally because that's just way too far. That's not what I do. I give them constructive criticism and say they shouldn't. They're not playing good. I'm gonna point it out, and I know some people like to defend players for all their worth, and some people don't like it when you criticise a player. Say something that is it feels wrong to say. But like I felt like Chance Nicholas Klukstad in that moment. You know, it was a bad mistake to make, and I felt like it was a big, obviously when Kiwis were up 12-0, that's why I felt that way, I felt like it was a bit, oh, because as a Kiwis fan, I'm passionate, I want the Kiwis to do well, but also, yeah, it's not a great mistake to make. But yeah, I'm not saying it's his, I'm not saying it's his fault, that we concede all those points at the back end of the half. But there was one moment in particular in this game. So, and yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like for me, the Kiwis just looking at it as a fullback option. I know Chance is a safe player. He's been great for us over the years. But I love Chance. Don't get me wrong. I really do feel like he's been good for us, for the Kiwis and for the Warriors over the years. But like I felt like going into this Pacific Championship that Kino Kenny was there, and I think Kino Kenny's probably the better option for me at the moment. But anyways, yeah, look, nothing really more to touch on that one. But you got anything else you want to discuss? Like in regards to this game, like I just going back on how that second half went, and what did you think the back end of that second half and the Kiwis and how they managed to hang on and Samoa just fighting tooth and nail to win this game and pick up a famous win over the Kiwis. And yeah, well, what did you think of it? Like just a whole of that second half.
Yeah. So I was actually touching on that there, Fanatics. Look, again, obviously, Nicole Cookstad's mistakes made Samoa sort of catch up, and obviously, as Fanatics touched on as well, obviously the score there in the the dying seconds of the first half definitely lifted the Kiwis, but
Yeah.
more so in the second, I think New Zealand sort of lacked a bit of, how do I say it, depth. I think they were definitely, but they were lacking a bit of depth. However, I do need a pinpoint as well. Hats off to Dylan Brown. Hats off to Kieran Foran. I thought Foran had himself a magnificent game as well. Again, not to try and circle out in the individuals, but I just thought, despite the trying push for Toa Samoa, and let's not forget, in the last 10 minutes, Toa Samoa had 2 opportunities to actually ice the game. And on 2 of those separate occasions, I believe one was Taulangi with a wayward pass, and Brian To'o with a clear break in the line. All he had to do was hold the ball. That's right. I just made a little reference there. Hold the ball, and obviously, Samoa would have been through and they would have scored. But it wasn't to be there, unfortunately, for Toa Samoa. But they were trying, and I reckon for them overall, I can say that if there was little patches, and if they could go back and fix the little patches in the game, particularly in particularly in the last 10 minutes, I think they would, and I think they would have won. In all honesty, but again, hats off to the Kiwis to winning the game, to the halves there in particular. I thought Kieran Foran definitely stood up, and Dylan Brown, but yeah, that's probably my takeaway of the game there. Overall, yeah.
Yep. All right, yeah, I'll just put in my bit of two sets final thoughts. Dylan Brown, just you mentioned it too. I thought he was, I thought he had a very good game, and also another player. Just point some players that I thought stood out for Samoa and the Kiwis, and Dylan Brown was one of them for the Kiwis as well. But I also thought that Tapane in particular, had a very strong game for us in the forwards, for the New Zealand side in the forwards. And Kieran Foran, like I say, Kieran Foran, Dylan Brown, that combination. But for Samoa, for me, like Payne Haas, another workhorse type effort. Bloody amazing performance by Payne Haas. Warrior like performance. RTS as well. I thought Roger was very good for Samoa, in particular in that running. I think he ran for like 200 plus meters in the game. And Samoa off the bench, CHT, like I said, he provided that spark as well. But I felt like for me that this game, could have gone either way, really, when you think about it, because although the Kiwis dominated majority of that first half, the second half was a lot even, particularly, and I felt like Samoa probably for me had the opportunities, a lot of the opportunities, the clear cut opportunities, probably missed opportunities as well that probably they would have liked to have taken back. Um, although they played well, they had their chances and they blew a few chances as well. So I think for me, there's plenty of positives to take for both teams, not just the Kiwis, even though the Kiwis did win and they got the result. And I know Samoa will be disappointed they didn't win, but there was positives for Samoa and there was positives for the Kiwis as a whole for both teams. And it was, for me, a great advert for the International Rugby League game. Good advert for the Pacific Championships as a whole. I think there was 20,000 crowd there at Go Media Mount Smart Stadium. Decent crowd. Look, I probably would have loved to have seen a sellout, a bit more, bums on seats at the ground. Of course, with this game being on a Sunday, there's a bit of obviously religion. Don't want to make it about religion, but of course, the Samoan fans, the Tongan fans, you know, religion is a big thing for them. So they love to go to church on the Sunday. So maybe the scheduling could have been done a lot better for me on that aspect. But other than that, I thought it was a very good game as a whole, and the Kiwis got out of it. You got Dylan Brown who scored that try to wrap that game up. Where the game probably could have gone to golden. It could have gone to extra time. Actually, it was really could have been one of those games where it could have gone to extra time, but it didn't. But well done to the Kiwis. A very good win for them to kickstart Pacific Championship. And last year they started off so slowly, and it sort of it really they were on the back foot straight away. So to kickstart this championship is a real positive for them. As for Samoa, they'll have a few sore bodies from this game. They're going to be battered and bruised from it. I think both teams, especially the Kiwis, now they'll be happy to have that bye this week. Have a bit of a break. Going into the Tongan game. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up my thoughts on this one.
So now what we're going to be doing is going to the game day squads, right? So all four teams, that's PNG, Cook Islands, Tonga, and Samoa, have all announced their squads for the upcoming weekend. Fanatics and I will be looking at the squads, PNG, Cook Islands, and then obviously following that will be Tonga, Samoa, and then following that would be a preview and prediction for both games, and then we'll be wrapping it up. In saying that, though, I guess we'll go straight into things here, Fanatics. You can tell me what you want to do. I'm more than happy to sound any team. I'm happy to do Cook Islands if you want to do PNG, and all we're just doing is just name the squads. Yeah. So
yeah, all
go
right.
for it,
So
man.
so I got the teams up on my computer screen. So yeah, look, well, I'll actually, yeah, if you want to go through the Papua New Guinea side, and I'll go through the Cook Islands team, and then we can obviously discuss our thoughts on both the teams. There, so yeah, what do you want to? Who's the home team? Papua New Guinea's the home team, so I presume I'll go first. Go through the Cook Islands team and give my and then we'll talk about that. So yeah, so Cook Islands squad. So start off with fullback. So fullback is Esan Masters, and you got Paul Olberg in on the wing there with the centres of Kyle KL Iro and Ruben Rini, and you got the winger Asom Loka. Asom Loka. Apologies if I pronounced his names wrong. Doing my best here. So 5'8" is Kaylee Paul Potoko. I
Putoko,
believe
Putoko.
he's played for the Warriors as well. So yeah, 5'8" there. He's actually been in the Warriors system this season. So yeah, played a bit of I think Harold Maths or New South Wales Cup or one of those grades. But yeah, he's actually played for the Warriors. So seventh halfback is Cases Cowley. And Masiki Makatoa is the prop. And then you got Mason Teague, hooker, Tepai Maroa in the other prop, and Brendan Piakura, second row with Ruben Porter and Pride Pedersen Rabati. So the bench is Rua Nakakura, Reese Duncan, and the is this 18 Dalia Hia Wigmore and Justin Mata Makuri.
Makirere, Makirere, Makirere,
Makuri.
Makirere.
Makure. Yeah, so that's the line up for the Cook Islands there. So yeah, just I'll ask you actually before you go into PNG. So, what are your thoughts on the Cook Islands team? There isn't really. I don't think there's any changes from last week's lineup. By the looks of it, no,
Nah,
it's the
look,
same lineup there.
there's no real
Yeah,
changes. It's virtually the same. I've got no real
yeah,
thoughts in all honesty. Again,
mm,
this, yeah, we'll obviously preview the game, but no,
yeah,
with the squad here, no real thoughts. I mean,
no,
it's the best that they have available. That's
yeah,
probably the best thing you can say about it. It is what it is, honestly. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'll probably just say, yeah. Look, it's a special lineup they can have, and I don't really have too much to say about the Cook Islands team there. But I'm sure we'll talk about the PNG side. So yeah, rounding up, how's the Papua New Guinea Kumus looking? Their first game of the Pacific Championship.
Yeah, that's right. So obviously the Kumals host the Kukans Aitu over in Port Moresby, home team. So the fullback is Morea, followed by the wingers Robert Derby as well as Alex Johnston. We know those two names, one for the Cowboys, one for the Rabbitohs. Centers, you have Zach
Mm.
Labert as well as Nene McDonald, former Sharks as well in McDonald. In the halves, you have Gairo Voro as well as popular fan favorite, particularly in PNG, Lachlan Lamb, former Super League player as well. In the forwards, you have Epil Kapanias, Edwin Ipape, followed by Jack DeBellin, former Dragons, now Eels for next season. Second rows are Reese Martin, as well as Nixon Putt. We all know Nixon Putt from his brave efforts over in the 2022 World Cup, followed by Liam Horn. In the interchange, you have Finley Glare, Jacob Alec Wink from the Titans, as well as Cooper Bai and Sylvester Namor. Look, my thoughts on this squad here. It's going to be another. I'm always reminded of German tanks whenever I see the Kummels suit up. They're German tanks. They're small, bulky human beings who just run into you with no remorse, no thought, and that's exactly what the squad is. Obviously, you got a bit of dash and shine, if you will, in the back line, and a bit of shimmer
Mm.
and glimmer there in the halves. But I mean, generally speaking, just watch out for the forwards to make some noise as we preview the game soon. Now, we move into the next one, the main event, Fanatics. That is Tonga versus Samoa. Now, I will do Tonga.
Yep.
You can do Samoa, unless you want to do Tonga and I can do Samoa. That is fine by me. But either way, yeah, Tonga will go first. So you want to do Tonga or do
Oh,
you want me to do Tonga?
you do Tonga, yeah, and I'll do Samoa. Cool.
All right, no worries. So the Tongan squad is as follows. For the fullback is Lehi Hopoate, In the wings are Daniel Tupou as well as Sione Katoa. And in the centres, you have Toru Tau Koula as well as Robert Toia or Toia. In the halves is Isaiah Yongi as well as Isaiah Katoa. In the forward packs, you have Eden Fonua Blake, followed by Stefano Utoi Kamanu. And the hooker there is infamous, very popular Saliba Havili. In the second rows, you got Siwa Wong as well as Eliesa Katoa. And the lock is Jason Tau Marolo. In the interchange, we have Sonny Luke, Leka Halasima, Felice Kaufusi, as well as Moyaki Fotuaika. And just quickly, this Tongan team here is actually riddled with star players. Robert Toy, obviously, with the Roosters, who took out the Rookie of the Year. You got Warriors' very own Halasima. You got, Melbourne Storm duo there of
Yep.
Katoa and Utoi Kamanu. Jason Tamalolo, his story, what he did. Eden Fonua Blake as well. Isaiah Katoa, up and coming halves. It's such a good team. I think overall from fullback to lock. But that's the Tongan squad there. Fanatics, over to you, and I'll help you as well if you need any help with the names.
All right, cool. So Samoa, Toa Samoa. So fullback is the man himself, RTS Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. Brian To'o on the wing, and the centres of Isaac Tago and
Tako,
Tago and Dean
tak-
Mariner and Murray Talangi and Blaze Talangi and Jerome Luai, the captain and halfback. You got Josh Papa Li'i, prop, and Jazz Tavanga hooker. Payne Haas, the prop, and for his second game in the Samoan jersey. And you got Jeremiah Nanai in the second row with Simi Sasagi. And then the lock is Junior Paulo. So the bench reads Chanel Harris Tavita, Benai. Ooh, I'm gonna need a bit of help with this name here.
Yeah. So it's Eoelu.
Benai Lulelu.
Benaya, Eoelu.
Benai Lelu. Oh, and yeah, I'm gonna
Ativalu
16
Lisati. Ativalu Lisati.
Adevalu
Yeah,
Listati,
Ativalu Lisati. Yeah.
and Francis Molo is the 17 there. Interesting. And of course, you got the reserves of Likan, King Tonga, Clayton Falongo, Tyrrell May, and Tyrone May. And of course, Samoan head coach is Ben Gardner. So that's the Samoan side. And again, a very strong Samoan side is I'm just echoing my words from last week really much, so apologies. But like I say, Samoa can't say that, but their side is very strong. Obviously coming off that game against the Kiwis last week, they've had a bit of time to gel over that game. And yeah, like I say, the back line, particular very strong back line. Of course, man, it's a stack lineup, and then you got the halves of Blaze Talangi and Jerome Luai. Yeah, I think not really much to say about the Samoan side, but it's a strong side, like I say, and I'm sure we're gonna dive into it more when we do the preview now. Wrap it up. But yeah, well, what are your thoughts on the Samoan side now? I like the looks of the Tongan side. I think the Tongan side is very strong. Of course, very happy to see Lika Haliasima, Warrior, get his opportunity off the bench. Bit surprised maybe that he's not starting. I would love to see him starts there, but hey, he's come off the bench, so he gets an opportunity nonetheless. But the bench is very strong, of course. You got Footawaka, Halasim, and Sonny Luke, who can come on, play a bit of hooker. And you got this Spencer Kafusi. I really like the Tongan forward pack as well, with Sio Wong and Katoa and Kambalalo. Um, and Fanua Blake, man, that's a four pack to withstand, and hold in high regards as well. So I think the one thing that I will say with Samoa is probably their outside backs. Maybe they got a better outside back combination over Tonga, in my opinion. But yeah, what do you think about the Samoan side? And yeah, what do you make of their team that they've named this week? Obviously, not really any changes to the side that played last week. So yeah, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, look, unfortunately for Toa Samoa, they will be without Mariota as well as Jaden Su'a.
Yeah,
Both players, unfortunately, fell victim to the
yeah,
HIA.
unfortunately.
However, they obviously, as we know, they do have replacements. Look, that Toa Samoa still leaves me grinning from ear to ear. It's still a good squad.
Yep.
Again, you touched on it. Their forward pack, their back line, it's a good, healthy, strong squad. I mean, there's really not much else you can say. Except they're going to be definitely amped for the game and they'll definitely be ready. So, yeah, which brings us to the match day previews and predictions. Obviously, we've named the squads for PNG and Cook Islands, but now we are going to give you guys a bit of a rundown preview of the game. So,
Yep.
Fanatics, I'm happy to let you lead. If not, I'm happy to lead. We'll go with the predictions, score, and winner and all that jazz, margin and play of the match. So, do you want to start off, or do you want me to start it off?
Yeah, I can start it off. So we'll start off with the this game in particular. Now, yeah, look, obviously, playing in front of home in front of their home fans, Papua New Guinea. I think this is going to really spur them on, of course, and of course, they've got the old, there's a lot of excitement around Papua New Guinea at the moment, and with the national side, and of course the team coming to the NRL over the next couple of years. But yeah, for me, just looking at it, I think the Kumus probably for me obviously have the edge over the Cook Islands, and it's based on it's just similar to what Fiji had last week. They had a bit of they've got a few experienced players, played in the NRL, played in the Super League as well, played in those competitions. So I think this is going to be another tall order for the Cook Islands, unfortunately for them. But it is the fact that they've been able to show some fight last week, which was great for them. But this is tricky. This is really tricky for them. A game which I feel like the Kumus will probably, for me, are going to win this game, and I think they're going to win it quite well, actually. Yeah, there's also just a mention. I want to mention as well the 5'8" making his debut for the Kumus. As this is his debut, Garo Voro.
Boro.
Apologies if I pronounced that wrong, but he actually just looking up his where he's from. So he plays. He's played 19. He's made 19 appearances now. He actually played in Queensland Cup this year in Host Plus Queensland Cup competition, and he was playing for the um, PNG Hunters in the Queensland Cup. And I looked at his stats actually, and he's got 7 tries, 2 forced dropouts. He had 12 try assists and 12 line break assists, with 17 offloads. His tackle efficiency is 90.3%, and he's made 313 tackles, and he's kicked for like 56.8 kicking meters here. So I think he's a player to look out for the Papua New Guinea side. Now this is a test debut. It's obviously it's a totally different from playing in your local Queensland Cup competition. No doubt about it. But I say maybe he's a talent to look out for this Kumu side, especially in. He's going to be partnering with the experienced Lachlan Lamb. Now, Lachlan Lamb, we know how good of a player he is, and his dad, who's a former player, and Adrian Lamb. So yeah, so I think for me, like for the Papua New Guinea side, obviously the key players for them, I'm just put out a key player that Lachlan Lamb for me, as well as the combination with Edwin and Pape, I think is going to be important. And Edwin and Pape, everyone knows well Edwin Pape and his talent. And you looked at the last World Cup, he was a player that I didn't know about at all. And now I'm very excited to see again put on this PNG Kumus jersey. So I think his combination with Lachlan Lamb is going to be the key for the Cook Islanders Not Cook Islands, the Kumus. Sorry, apologies there. The Papua New Guinea Kumus, in terms of getting the result on the field, his kicking game as well. It's going to be the key for them. But really excited for this Papua New Guinea side because man, they've got so much talent on display as well. You look at Alex Johnston as well. Veteran of the game. Good to see him put on the PNG jersey again. You got Robert Doobie on that wing, and you got Nini McDonald. Yeah, and then you looked at the likes of Jack DeBellin, Reese Martin, Nixon Put. It's really formidable. It's really formidable, and I'm just seeing Cooper Bye's name is on the is on the bench as well. Already a well known this year, and then you got Sylvester Namo as well. So man, I can't really say anything negative about this PNG Kumu side and what they've got. And Cook Islands, unfortunately for them, they're really up against it. So, look, in terms of this game, I am going to tip the Papua New Guinea Kumus to win this one. PNG at home in front of their fans, I think they'll get the job done to kickstart their Pac Championship campaign. And I'm going to go with Papua New Guinea Kumus 42, Cook Islands 10. I think it'd be 42-10. I think it'd be just complete domination by this Kiwi side. I think I personally can see the outside backs running right there. And I could see someone like an Alex Johnston get a try or two on the board. He will score. I've also got Robert Doobie to score and Lachlan Lamb to score. And for the Cook Islands, I think KL Ero will probably go over to score a try or two in this one. So, yeah, I think Papua New Guinea will be way too strong, 42-10 over the Cook Islands. But look, I think the Cook Islands, I think this will be a bit of another tough one. But they'll fight, they'll show plenty of endeavour, but it probably won't be enough in the end. So yeah, PNG too strong for me.
Yeah, look, I think you basically summarized everything there. There's not much I can say, honestly. I think you really did a good job there. Again, with the Papua New Guinea team, it is a home game for the Gummels. They'll be looking to take advantage of that. Again, I described them as German tanks. They're going to be physical. They're going to be strong. They've got a decent spine as well, a lot better than Cook Islands, respectfully. And look, it'll be a tough, brave showing from the Cook Islands, but I think the home game advantage, plus the crowd, plus the fans, will be too much in the favor there of the Gummels. And again, look at the likes of Jack DeBellin to rise up. Your Robert Derbies, your Alex Johnstons, your Lachlan Lambs, your Capaniases. Look for them to again shine through. Look, I'm really margin here. I'm going PNG. Oh, look, I said it last week, and obviously Fiji were just shy of it, to be fair. But I think Gummels, it'll be 54 points to probably 12, I think.
Ooh.
Can Cook Islands prove me wrong another week? Can they prevent the 50 from happening? Most likely, but that is my tip there anyway. Anytime try scorer, look, you got to go with Alex Johnston. For the Cook Islands, maybe looking at the likes of a sneaky, maybe from Isom Ioka, possibly. Maybe look at Paimoeroa to sneak over there. We'll see what happens. Because to be fair, Papua New Guinea don't have the best defense in the middle. That's just facts. They don't. So a team like the Clowns could probably take advantage of that. So maybe look at Paimoeroa. Maybe even maybe even sneak in a Ruben Porter. But anyway, into that's my stuff there. So PNG 52 points to 14. Anytime try score, Alex Johnston, and probably look at Lachlan Lamb to be the best player of the game there, Fanatics. So yeah, that's it from me. All right. We go into the main event here, and I'll lead things off here. Tonga versus Samoa. The last time these two teams met was in 2022, and it was a game where it had the whole of England, the whole world looking where Samoa was triumphed. They triumphed in that game. They won, qualifying for the semi-final against England. The rest is history there. Tonga have been licking their wounds since. They've had a good win over New Zealand since then. And following that as well, they've been able to sort of showcase what they can do. Obviously, just falling short against the Kangaroos last year, losing by 6 points in the Pacific Cup Championship final. This game here will be a very physical game. It always is between these two nations, whether that's in league, whether that's in union. I think a lot of people do tend to show up and watch these two teams go at it. Again, their history dates back thousands, 1,000 years plus. When we say that rugby league's rival is right here, we mean it. This is it. This is it. This is as big as it gets for these two nations here. Now to the game itself, it's going to be frantic. It's going to be huge. It's going to be monstrous. Again, the crowd, and I'm just talking about the crowd. I haven't even talked about the on-field action yet. It's going to be a lot of fans there with their blue, the seal blue, the seal red. It's
Yep.
going to be a mad rush there. Now, we already talked about the squads. We know what the squads are like. And I think I tend to incline with how you're seeing things for Nets, particularly in the back line. I was trying to sort of disagree with you there, but I do agree. I think Tor Samoa do have the better back line, particularly with RTS at fullback. You can never go wrong with a RTS at fullback there. And if you look at the forward line, I think the forward battle is probably what worth the tickets. That's the reason why the people are actually going is to watch the forward pack.
Yeah.
Anderson Blake versus Payne Haas. Right? Anderson Blake versus Payne Haas. Then you have who else? You got Utoi Kamanu versus Josh Papali'i. Then you've got the hook, the locks there, Jason Taumalolo against Junior Paulo. Again, big names, big boppers who've done so much for their country of origin, their heritage. This game promises to be physical, like I said, fiery, tough. Fanatics, it's going to be back and forth. Dare I say it, there might be a few unfortunate injuries from how physical this game is going to be. And that's, and obviously things will stem from the Tongan Sipitau, and then you got the Samoan Sivitau, and it's just going to be on from there like Donkey Kong. Well, this game's going to be tough. I don't look. Yeah, I'll predict. Okay, sure. We'll chuck in some predictions. How can you predict a game like this? It's actually really tough. Again, Pacifica Rugby League. This is the pinnacle of it. Obviously, you throw in Fiji as well. But look, I think in this game, I'm going to tip Tonga to win this. All right, I'm going to tip Tonga.
Yep.
The reason being, I think, despite probably the edge that Samoa have, especially in the spine and their backline, I really think the forward pack will be ready. Losing Mariota and Su'a, a big outs there for Tor Samoa. Look at the likes of Wong, Halasima off the bench, right? And just look at that backline too for Tonga, to be fair. It's not that bad. It's not the worst backline. You've got Gola, you've got Toya, you've got Katoa, Tupou, Lehopoate. It's I've seen worse backlines, but I'm going to tip Tonga to win this game. I think it'll be a close game, not so close, but I'm hoping. But I reckon it'll be Tonga 22, Tor Samoa 12, something like that. Yeah, something like sort of similar to maybe last week's game, bit of back and forth. And I'm expecting anytime try score. I reckon Adam Funor Blake give us a bit of an Adam Funor Blake special. And I think man of the and probably for Toa Samoa, look, RTS I reckon will definitely find his way over the line there for sure, or Brian To'o. And man of the match probably for me will probably be Jason Taumalolo. But yeah, that's sort of like my thoughts on that game. That it's going to be frantic, hectic, and if you have a chance to go, anyone who's watching, go. Trust me. When Tonga and Samoa get together, it is what it is. But I'm saying that before I hand it over to you, Fanatics. MMT baby. MMT, let's go.
Ooh.
We got the Mate Tonga, let's go, boys. But yeah, look, this is what I'm backing. All right, backing these boys there,
Yep.
Tonga. But yeah, over to you, Fanatics. What are your thoughts on this game before we wrap things up?
Yeah. Yeah. Jeez. I'll tell you, this is one very hard game to predict. It is. It could go either way. I think no team for me is really the favourite going into this one. And just think about it, how good this game's going to be on Sunday afternoon with the atmosphere at Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane. Like you say, it's just going to be very awesome to for those going and attending. It's going to be a brilliant occasion. Um, But yeah, look, for me, I know. Oh, this is tricky, man. This is really tricky because initially I tipped Tonga, and then I went back and tipped Samoa. Now, ooh, my final say here, I'm gonna go with Tonga. I'll go with my first thought. I'm gonna go with Tonga in this one. And I think that Samoa last week, how much that game took out of them, physically, might come back to them in this one. So I know the game's a Sunday. They've got a plenty of rest and recovery between the game, but yeah, I wonder how much last week's taken out of them. To really fight their way back against the Kiwis and almost come away with a result over in New Zealand against the Kiwis. Look, I think for me, I'm going to go with Tonga to win, but I think this one's going to be really close, and I don't see this game being any blowouts of the scoreline either way. I don't think Tonga will blow Samoa away. I don't think Samoa will blow Tonga away. I think it's going to be a lot of points in it because the weather is very hot at the moment up here in Queensland, and it's going to be dry. And we know what a dry track at Suncorp Stadium is like on a Sunday afternoon. We've seen it with the Broncos in the finals. Plenty of points on offer. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of points in this game. And of course, it's being an afternoon kickoff as well here in Queensland. So I am going to go with a Tonga win 28 points to 20 over Samoa. 28-20. Now, try scorers. I'm going to say that there will be a try to any time. Dean Mariner for Samoa, for Toa Samoa. And for Tonga, I'm going to say Daniel Tupou and Robert Toya. So I'm going outside backs, a lot of outside backs in that department there. But if I was to pick a forward, just to shout out maybe a forward that could score for Tonga, Fanua Blake is definitely one that I could see scoring for Tonga.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think Tonga win 28-20, and yeah, my anytime try scorers are Dean Mariner, Daniel Tupou, and Robert Toya. Now, key players, I'm just pointing out a key player as well for Tonga. Now, for Tonga to get this win, I think Isaiah Katoa's going to be a really, really key part of getting the result for them. And Isaiah Katoa has had an outstanding season for the Dolphins. Um, he was right in the running for the halfback of the year. I think he was in that nominations with Nathan Cleary and the likes. And probably, probably could have won it. He could have won the halfback of the year in the NRL because I thought he was very consistent throughout the season. And of course, Christian Wolf, who's a Tongan coach, and the current Tongan coach now, and he's the current coach of the Dolphins, has had a lot to
Hmm.
play a part with Isaiah Katoa's game as well this year. So I think it's going to be interesting to see Katoa with how he, forms that combination, with his fellow halves combo as well. And then you got Fanua Blake. Obviously, we know what Fanua Blake's going to do. What he's going to produce. You got Isaiah Katoa as well. Again, another good season for the Storm. So yeah, those are my key players for this Tongan side if they had to go over and get the result. But as for Toa Samoa, it's Jerome Luai, Payne Haas, Blaze Talangi, I think RTS as well. I think those are the keys for the Samoan side. But yeah, I think this game is going to be an absolute cracker, guys. It's going to be an awesome game. Turn on your TVs, get your food out, get your drinks, whatever you're drinking, whether it be alcohol, non-alcoholic. Sit
No,
down and
no
watch this
alcohol. No,
game.
don't drink alcohol. No alcohol. We don't endorse alcohol. No alcohol.
Oh well.
No alcohol. No
Yeah, well,
alcohol.
whatever. Drink non-alcoholic if you want. Whatever you prefer.
Yeah.
But like I say, it's going to be a brilliant game. It's going to be a brilliant game, and whoever's going to the game, and I've got to say, enjoy it. Enjoy the atmosphere, enjoy the game. And I've seen the fan days with Samoa's had their fan day, and I think Tonga's having theirs sometime this week. I think Samoa's already had theirs, but man, the fans, a lot of fans there. It's bloody awesome. So we know what we're going to expect with this game. Two teams that, are big Pacific rivals, and Samoa and Tonga. Yes, off the field they might be friendly, but as a game, it's huge. Samoa and Tonga, they don't like each other. It's like Queensland and New South Wales. It's similar. I don't want to go and compare, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah. Oh, yeah. I
it's
guess,
sort of
but
like
not.
it, but
Nah,
but
well,
I don't
yeah.
want to
I
say
mean,
it's that big,
yeah.
but it's getting to the point where Pacific, because both teams are now strong, then they have
Look, I'm
even
probably
better.
gonna look.
Yeah,
I'm probably gonna.
yeah,
I'm gonna happily interject there. Yeah, no, I can't compare Origin and Tonga Samoa because Tonga and Samoa
no,
have been hundreds of years of rivalry. So
true.
Origin only
Yeah, well,
started in 1980.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, I just had to interject there.
No,
I
I'm
don't
not
compare the
comparing
two
them. I'm
because
just saying it's sort of, it's a sort of similar sort of energy, but it's not on that level. I want to say it's that level. I won't
it's
go that
it's
crazy, but
international level.
yeah.
It's bigger.
What I'm trying
It's
to say,
bigger than
yeah,
state
yeah,
level. No, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But look, in saying
I
that,
don't
no,
want to
I hear
sell
you,
it.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah. All good. In saying that though, guys, look,
But anyways,
thanks again for watching. Feel free to have a scroll back and see what we're talking about. We're just two passionate international fans who just love yarning about rugby league. But in saying that though, thank you again, Fanatics, for being here, and I hope you guys enjoy the weekend ahead. Again, we got the Kumos against the Aitu, PNG Kumos against Kokans Aitu, as well as Mate Matonga take on Toa Samoa. And obviously the Kiwis and the Fijians will be at home watching as well, I'm sure, in their club rooms there, the lads. But yeah, that's all from us for now. And stay tuned, and we'll see you guys next week. But in saying that, take care. See you guys next time, and up the Rams.